they all went up mad. I know, I gotta get one.
There being a quorum present, I'll open the May 5th, 2004 annual town meeting. I guess I just learned this today. Happy Cinco de Mayo for those of you. I guess our next treat of the evening is to have our town clerk point out the escape routes.
To my left and your right, except for the board members here, this door to my left, up near the stage, goes out into a short hallway that goes right outside, and the door in the back goes into a short hallway that goes right outside.
To the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd ask you to remain standing. Since our last meeting, we've lost some important members of our community. Unfortunately, we do this every year. I'm going to read their names. We'll have a moment of silence. Rita P. Spooner, Bandstand Committee, Council on Aging, Senior Center Development Project Design Selection Committee, Election Worker Precinct 1, Election Worker Precinct 1, Election Clerk, 1989 Oxford Senior Citizen of the Year. Stacia A. Sad, Election Worker Precinct 2. Esther Bray, Chafee School Cafeteria Supervisor. Angelina D. Lapomardo, Oxford Public School Teacher's Assistant. Barbara A. Rawson, Oxford Public School Nurse. David L. Naramore, Finance Committee. Roderick D. Reel Sr., Firefighter. William V. King, Council on Aging. Louise M. Guilfoyle, Election Officer, Election Worker Precinct 1 and Precinct 2. Thank you. I'll now ask Town Clerk Lori Kelly to read the warrant and return of service thereon. Lori?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Worcester, SS, to either of the constables of the town of Oxford and the county of Worcester, greeting. In the name of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, you are hereby directed to notify and warn the inhabitants of said town, qualified to vote in elections and in town affairs, to meet at the Oxford High School in said Oxford on Wednesday, the 5th day of May next, at 7 o'clock in the afternoon, then and there to act on the following articles. And you are directed to serve this warrant by posting up attested copies thereof at the post office on the Plains, the post office in North Oxford, Memorial Hall, and Huguenot Steamer No. 2, in said town, 7 days at least before the time of holding said meeting. Hereof fail not, and make due return of this warrant with your doings thereon to the town clerk at the time and place of meeting as aforesaid. Given under our hands this 21st day of April in the year of our Lord 2004. Henry J. LaMountain Sr., Susan M. Gallant, Jenny L. Casey, Daniel P. Coonan, John G. Sad, Selectmen of Oxford. A true copy attest, Richard M. Nealon, Constable, dated April 22nd, 2004. Worcester, SS, pursuant to the within warrant, I have notified and warned the inhabitants of the town of Oxford by posting up attested copies of the same at the post office on the Plains, the post office in North Oxford, Memorial Hall, and Huguenot Steamer No. 2, 7 days before the date of the meeting as within directed. Richard M. Nealon, Constable of Oxford, April 22nd, 2004.
Thank you, Lori. At the annual town meeting, in case there are any people who haven't been to the town meeting before, I basically try to point out who the people are which are sitting in the different seats. Next to me is the town clerk, her and her assistant. Then there are the selectmen. The gray-haired gentleman is the town council, the town manager, and the chairman of the board of selectmen. Behind them is some of the staff for the offices, the town offices. In front of me is the planning board, which deals with planning matters. The school committee is in the center. And on my far left is the finance committee, which is appointed by the moderator and reviews these articles and is to act as the eyes and ears of the town meeting for those of you who haven't had a chance to attend the meetings and meet with the town officials to determine what actions are taken. So that's the players that are here tonight. Article 1, to hear the reports of any town offices or any committee or any committees authorized in any formal meeting and to choose any committee or committees the town may think proper. Are there any reports? There being none, Article 2, to determine what sums of money the town will raise and appropriate to defray charges and expenses of the town, including debt and interest, for the fiscal year July 1st, 2004, fiscal year 2005, or act thereon. At this point, I'd like you to all refer to the annual town meeting, the budget. Open it up to page 1. What we do is we vote in mass those articles or those items which are not objected to or which a hold is not requested to put on. Any item that a hold is put on, we go back and take up individually. So I'll start off, it says general government, and under that, moderator, $200. And if you have any objections, you say hold. Selectmen, $64,576. Town manager, $171,563. Finance committee, $600. Finance department, 1 hold. Legal services, $150,000. Personnel board, $700. Town clerk, $150,151. Conservation Commission. Planning and Engineering, $110,101. Zoning Board of Appeals, $4,412. Development Industrial Commission, $360. Memorial Hall, $147,225. Public Buildings, $160,070. Public Safety, $1,356,910. EMS Fire, CD. Building Department. Weights and Measures, $3,850. Wiring Inspector, $100. Animal Control. Public Works. Municipal Utilities, $249,150. Board of Health. Council on Aging. Youth Commission, 3 hold. And who held that, please? Thank you. I just do that so we can call on you when the time comes. Veteran Services, $36,243. Library. Historical Commission, $521. Celebrations, $5,414. Debt financing, $1,402,426. Retirement insurance. Sewer, that's a good idea. School general, $12,124,290. School bus transportation, $758,721. School community services, $42,574. Southern Worcester County Regional Vocational School District, also known as BayPath, $594,256.
Mr. Moderator, I move the amount of money set forth in the Finance Committee recommendation column of the printed budget, except for the amounts of money for those items which have been set aside for discussion, be raised by taxation and appropriated for the several purposes therein itemized, each item marked with an asterisk being considered a separate appropriation.
Second.
Moved and seconded, recommendation of the Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends.
Any questions or comments?
I have a question.
Yes.
Nobody held the school committee or the school general fund. Does that mean it goes through as is?
Yes.
Okay, then I want to vote on that.
You want to hold on? We haven't voted on that, so I guess,
Never mind, I'm sorry.
okay?
I checked with my professionals.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. There being no other questions or comments, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All against say nay. They are carried. The first item held. Finance Committee.
Mr. Moderator, I move the sum of $1,132,368 raised by taxation, and that said sum, together with the sum of $3,800, be transferred from the community development account and appropriated for the finance department.
Recommendation of the Finance Committee? Any questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. It's carried. Conservation Commission.
Mr. Moderator, I move the sum of $5,314 be transferred from the Conservation Commission reserved for appropriation account and appropriated for the conservation accounts.
Moved and seconded, recommendation of the Finance Committee. Any questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor say aye. All against, no. Carried. EMS Fire CD.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the sum of $177,176 be raised by taxation, and that said sum, together with the sum of $475,000, be transferred from the ambulance reserve appropriation account and appropriated for the EMS Fire CD account.
Moved and seconded, recommendation of the Finance Committee. Any questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Carried. Building Inspector.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the sum of $30,000 be appropriated for the building inspector accounts from the estimated receipts from the fees charged to users of the services provided by the building inspector department.
Moved and seconded, recommendation of the Finance Committee. Any questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Is carried. Animal Control.
Animal control, I move the sum of $6,000 be raised by taxation, and that $8,000 be transferred from the dog fund revolving account, and $4,000 be transferred from the cat fund revolving account, said sums to be appropriated to the animal control account.
Moved and seconded, recommendation of the Finance Committee. Any questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Is carried. Department of Public Works.
Mr. Moderator, I move the sum of $1,496,800 be raised by taxation, and that the sum of $31,400 be transferred from the Cemetery Perpetual Care Trust Fund, that the sum of $3,200 be transferred from the Cemetery Lots Reserve Appropriation accounts, and that the sum of $1,400 be transferred from the Cemetery Jeremiah Line Combined Trust Fund and appropriated to the DPW accounts.
Moved and seconded, recommendation of Finance Committee. Any questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. It is carried. Board of Health.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the sum of $94,467 be transferred from the Board of Health General Account Reserve for Appropriations and appropriated for the Board of Health account.
Moved and seconded, recommendation of Finance Committee. Any questions, comments? All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. It is carried. Council on Aging.
Mr. Moderator, I move the sum of $59,140 be raised by taxation, and that said sum, together with the sum of $5,000, be transferred from the Oxford Home for the Aged People Trust Fund, and the sum of $25,000 be transferred from the WRTA Reserve Appropriation account, and the sum of $20,000 be transferred from the Council of Aging Donation account and appropriated to the Council of Aging account.
Moved and seconded, recommendation of the Finance Committee. Any questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Carried. Mr. Hammond, you held Youth Commission. When you speak, please come to the mic as Mr. Hammond is doing.
Mr. Moderator, I just want to
Thanks.
amend the amount recommended to the budget, $9,000.
$1,150 for activities for the
So you're putting a motion on the floor?
motion to amend dollar amount.
You want it in writing? The town clerk suggests you can put that in writing. Do you have something you can write on? Is there a second to that motion? Second. It's been moved and seconded. The motion on the floor is the motion, it's really not to amend, I think it would be the primary motion. So I'll strike with your permission the word amend. To budget $9,150 to be raised by taxation and appropriated for the Youth Commission for fiscal year '05. Do you want to speak on it?
If I may.
Please.
Last year, the youth commission had to make do with $54 due to budget cuts. The youth commission instead left by $54 utilize funds that had been donated to us over different sources over different years. Budget was cut from our program account without warning. Those programs that we planned to put in effect never happened. Just so you know what we did without using town money. We sent over 340 families, or kids and the parents and their themselves, to a half a dozen different shows we could put out there. We sent another 81 young people with their families to take advantage of the Boston Red Sox to see what the bus provided. We put on a pottery work program where the kids got to participate and make pottery projects. There was 56 involved there. We put on an Easter egg hunt for the first time this year. 68 kids participated in that up to from the community. Put on another babysitter certification. We put on another local education after high school. All those guys were another 161 participants. These aren't everything that we've done. Some of the highest. Affected over 300, over 500 people took part in our program last year with no budget. We put on a pumpkin spectacular last year, and it generated a renewed interest in the annual level organization coming us that they'd like to help expand it and help us with the program. We intended to put on a media program to teach teens the elements of media production, including scriptwriting, directing, acting, the whole 9 yards. And that was a big part of our initial request of budget of over $25,000. Access Oxford, on the other hand, worked with us and told us they'd be willing to work with us to run such a program and implement the program. So we cut it out of our budget and hopefully we'll be able to work out something with them to put on this program. Basically, what we're trying to point out is we're doing an awful lot with very little. We're pretty frugal with money, both money that was voted to taxpayers by taxpayers and donated money. We're very aware that we're really tough time, but we can't do everything with nothing. We've become a group that is now expanding because people are finding out that we do have programs to offer, but we can't do it all for free. We're asking you to trust us with your money,
much more budget than what we were originally looking for. It is more than what the town, the town represented. $9,150 is a lot less than we've spent on some other programs in the past couple of years that we've heard rumblings about. And I'm asking you to get our future. We can't keep taking things away from the kids.
Okay. We try to discourage outward signs, and certainly welcome to the support, but we don't want to turn it into who can holler the loudest. Does anyone have any other comments? Anyone want to speak on the recommendation that was made? John?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I have a question. That question being, I know that we have another article that has been sponsored by the Youth Commission, Article number 21, which appears to be duplicating this particular action. And I would like a clarification as to whether or not you will be seeking additional money in Article 21.
If this motion to amend the budget, replace the budget item passes, we have to withdraw the other articles regarding the $25,000 budget.
Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
That answers my question. That being the case, I would wholeheartedly support inserting this amount in this budget.
John, you want to speak?
Mr. Moderator, our committee has only had the opportunity to go with the original document based on 2,275 is what we had agreed to approve to what was originally requested. So without another meeting, I don't think legally we could modify that without a public meeting.
All right, but you've heard the explanation that the Article 21 is going to be withdrawn.
Yes.
Okay.
The Finance Committee supports the amount that we had originally been
Okay.
talking about, which was 3,275. If the town meeting wishes to address the additional funds,
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor of the Youth Commission budget to be $9,150, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. It is carried. The next held article was library.
Mr. Moderator, I move the sum of $394,654 to be raised by taxation, and that said sum, together with the sum of $19,372, be transferred from the library state aid account and be appropriated from the library account.
Second.
Moved and seconded, recommendation of the Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends.
Any questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. It's carried. Retirement and insurance.
Moderator, I move that the sum of $3,681,684 be raised by taxation for retirement and insurance, and from that amount, $2,485,597 of the group health insurance account and $4,075 of the group life insurance account be transferred to the Town Health Claims Trust Fund for the purpose of paying the town share of health and life insurance obligations.
Second.
Moved and seconded, recommendation of the Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends.
Any questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Carried. Sewer enterprise.
I move that the sum of $92,035 be appropriated for the sewer enterprise operational budget for fiscal year 2005, and by offsetting said appropriation by estimated receipts from the sewer users' fees.
Second.
Moved and seconded, recommendation of the Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends.
Any questions or comments? Yes, sir. Would you, what's that?
The numbers of the articles, so we can follow along.
It was the sewer, it wasn't it was still on Article 2, but we're in the budget, the sewer enterprise, which was held, page 13, sewer enterprise total, sewer total. That's the item that we're at now. We're still on Article 2, dealing with those items which were held from the omnibus vote. Any other questions? There being none, all those in favor say, oh, Other question? Todd?
I'd just like to know,
Todd, please take the mic. I know you got a good voice, but the next guy will think he's got a good voice too.
Wondering if someone could explain the 80,000 in other miscellaneous expenses, some brief definition or, what do you mind?
Under the sewer enterprise, right?
Right.
Yeah. Anyone want to respond? Yes, Mr. Chairman. Oh, Joe. This is our town engineer, for those of you who do not know.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. To answer the question, the budget pays for services and supplies, that's electricity, maintenance on the generators, and the service charges from off the town of Auburn for transmission of the sewage, and Upper Blackstone for the treatment of the sewage. That all comes out of that line item.
And where is the sewage that where he's talking about? Where is it coming from? Is that from the school?
It starts at the school. There's our first pump station's out in front of
Okay.
these two buildings, and then north into Auburn.
All right. Any other questions? Comments? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Is carried. Okay, at this time, we're going to go into the articles, Article 3. I did hear an interesting thing today. The first town meeting that took place in New England, at least, I guess, which would be anywhere around, was in Dorchester in 1650. So we're upholding a long-standing tradition. I wonder how our budget compares with theirs. Article 3, to see if the town will vote to fix the salaries and compensation of all elected officials of the town as provided by Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 41, Section 108, or act thereon. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the salary and compensation of the elected officials of the town be fixed at the following amounts for fiscal year 2005. Chairman of the Board of Selectmen, $1,100. 4 other selectmen at $1,000 each for a total of $4,000, and the town moderator for $200.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Recommendation of the Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends.
Any questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Article 4, it is passed. Article 4, to see if the town will vote to raise by taxation or transfer from available funds an appropriate sum of money for a reserve fund pursuant to the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 6 for fiscal year 2005, or act thereon. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the sum of $150,000 be transferred from the free cash account appropriated for reserve fund for fiscal year 2005.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Recommendation of the Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends.
Any questions or comments? Yes, please come down.
Has this item already been included in the budget?
No. Yeah, your name, please. I didn't say that to you. Anyone who does come up, so the town clerk can make the records. It's not to put you on the hot seat.
Richard Burnett,
Thank you. Richard, and your address?
160 Charles Street.
Thank you. This sum is not included in the budget. It's a separate article. Someone want to, do you understand the free cash account and the reserve fund?
Yes.
Okay. If not, we can provide an explanation, I'm sure. Any other questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Not much enthusiasm either way out there.
I think Dennis is getting up to give an explanation.
Okay. If you want an explanation of something, you have to let us know, that's all, okay? The gentleman said that he understood free cash and reserve fund, so we didn't do it, but we're happy to do it if someone doesn't understand. Article 5, to see if the town will vote to transfer and appropriate a sum of money from the ambulance reserve, receipts reserved for appropriations account to the fiscal year 2004 ambulance budget. Any vote adopted under this article to take effect forthwith upon its adoption or act thereon. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Moderator, I move that Article 5 be postponed indefinitely.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Recommendation of the Finance Committee? It is recommended. Any questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Is carried. Article 6, to see if the town will vote to transfer and appropriate a sum of money from available funds to the police department fiscal year 2004 operational account. Any vote adopted under this article to take effect forthwith upon its adoption or act thereon. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the sum of $50,000 be transferred from free cash and that the sum of $15,000 be transferred from the insurance reimbursement revolving fund to the police department FY04 operational account. Any vote adopted under this article will take effect forthwith upon its adoption.
Second.
Seconded, moved and seconded, recommendation of the Finance Committee.
Mr. Moderator, after a long, arduous debate, the Finance Committee ultimately concluded to support it, but it was not unanimous, and the vice chair of the committee would like to address this at the level.
As a voter.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. People always ask us, why we come here with this recommended results. It's because we have meetings that go on before this meeting, where we have these things out, go home, battered and bloody sometimes. And this is one of those issues. No one on the Finance Committee is opposed to public safety. But public safety is not just police officers. If we don't plow our streets, they're not safe. That's a public safety issue. If we don't pay for the people who drive our children to school, that's a public safety issue. Every year we get a certain amount of money and we spend all of it. And this last year we spent all of our money. Part of the way through the year we found out that we needed more police officers. We essentially had enough money for 2. A problem. But 3 were added. And so last year's budget was out of balance because some of the money that was used to pay a police officer that absolutely need, no question about that, but we didn't have that money to spend. And we'd just like to make it clear to people that that's why it's coming out this year. And we'd like to have some accountability and have some explanation or sense for why we didn't wait until this year like we do for everything else. We had to wait for people to get their full pays this year. People were out of work part of the year last year who work in the town hall. We had school department people who didn't get paid in full, who got laid off, or programs that didn't go on. No one is opposed to public safety, but the timing of this was very critical. And we just like some explanation for why this had to happen this way and why we couldn't wait until this point in time to take care of this, because there are certain other very pressing public safety issues in the town of Oxford.
Mr. Moderator, if I may, answer Mr. Krasinski's question. I know that when we appoint police officers, because our Oxford police officers have been forced over. What forced over means is the individual worked an 8-hour shift, wants to pull into the station so he can go home because he's been up for 12 hours and finds out the man coming in behind him is not available to come in, and he has to stay. So what's happened is we have these guys working 8 additional hours at an overtime rate who are tired, who are hungry, who just want to go home. When we looked at the 3rd police officer, we didn't do anything to OPD that wasn't done back in the year, I believe, 1998, 1997. All we've done is restored the complement of personnel that we had in the department 5 to 7 years ago. There was no additional, it was just brought back to the way it was.
Any other questions or comments? Sorrell? Excuse me, before you start, before you really get into trouble, we have a car with its lights on. It's a Lincoln Town car. A license 585ZJY. Your lights are on. Yeah, I was thinking of that. That couldn't happen to a guy who drove into the old school before he drove in here tonight, so it couldn't have possibly been me. All right, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Russ Rowe, 365 Main Street. I would just like some further explanation. In the explanation of Article 10 under Article 6, it says, the town hired 3 new full-time police officers that needed to attend the police academy. I understand. While attending the academy, the shift needs to be covered. If these were new police officers, then they weren't covering a shift to begin with, and that should have been part of our regular budget. That's my first question. The second question is, did hiring the other sergeant have any effect on the overall?
Someone want to respond?
Moderator, if I may,
Yeah.
Charles Noyes, Chief of Police.
Good evening, Charles. Lawrence, Country Lane, Chief of Police. In addition to the fact that, as previously explained, and how we brought the complement of the police department up to what it had been previously, when we hired the 3 new officers back in October, I believe is the actual date. One of the things, those people had already been working back in October. What happens, they started the police academy at the beginning of the calendar year. I believe it was January 26th is when they started the police academy. Once they went off to the police academy, they were drained from the complement of people that were working every single shift. Basically, one officer team off of each one of the 3 shifts, the day shift, the evening shift, the night shift. Once that happened, we boiled down, dropped back down to a man-to-man coverage. Basically, every time somebody called in sick, took a vacation day, or was out for some other authorized reason, we had to fill that position. And so this has put the excessive drain on the overtime account as well as draining out of the permanent intermittents to fill into the fill in the vacant shifts. So that has done that. The cost of the, sorry, Mr. Rowland, I'm on track where we went. Okay. It does have an impact on that because, although it's not great, it does have an impact because the anticipated retirement of a previous sergeant did not occur as expected. So that does have somewhat of an impact on it. But primarily, the reason for the request and transfer and the shortage this fiscal year, the fact that those 3 officers are off at the police academy, not able to work the shifts, and consequently, we're on that officer-for-officer replacement coverage on every single day.
Thank you, Chief. Any other questions or comments? Yes.
One of the main reasons why this budget request is being sought is because, as the chief alluded to, was the overtime. Anybody who knows budgets knows that overtime can absolutely destroy any planned or forecasted budget, and that's what was happening with our police officers. I don't have the exact figure, Chief, if you recall what the overtime was at the time that we hired the 3 officers, because it was very substantial, and that's what put us in the jackpot on the budget. Hiring the 3rd sergeant, I think it was put that way. 3 sergeants retired, and that's what this board put back in. It really was the overtime issue. We can't have cops on the streets working 2 or 3 shifts and being held over for 18 hours and expect them to do their job.
All right, does anyone else have any questions or comments? There being none, it's time to vote. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Article 7, to see if the town will vote to transfer and appropriate a sum of money from the stabilization fund to the fiscal year 2004 short-term interest account. Any vote adopted under this article to take effect forthwith upon its adoption or act thereon. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the sum of $327,155 be transferred from the stabilization fund and appropriated to the fiscal year 2004 short-term interest account. Any vote adopted under this article will take effect forthwith upon its adoption.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Recommendation of the Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends.
Any questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. It's carried unanimously. Article 8, to see if the town will vote to transfer and appropriate a sum of money from the stabilization fund to the fiscal year 2005 short-term interest account for the purpose of paying short-term interest on the school construction notes or act thereon. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the sum of $700,000 be transferred from the stabilization fund to the short-term interest account for the purpose of paying short-term interest on the school construction notes.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Recommendation of the Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends.
Any questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. It's carried unanimously. Article 9, to see if the town will vote to transfer and appropriate a sum of money representing the premium plus interest from the high school capital projects fund to the stabilization fund. Any vote adopted under this article to take effect forthwith upon its adoption or act thereon. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Moderator, I move the sum of $499,144.71 representing the premium plus interest to be transferred from the high school capital projects fund to the stabilization fund. Any vote adopted under this article to take effect forthwith upon its adoption.
Second.
Moved and seconded, recommendation of the Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends.
Any questions or comments? There being none, all those in, what? Todd?
I'd just like to know, have we received any money back from the state yet at the age of 10? And if we haven't, how long can we keep paying this loan before it's going to seriously affect us?
I'll try to answer your last question first. We had devised a financial plan, as you may recall, some of you may recall, when we undertook the construction of the school buildings. And at that time, we talked about using our stabilization as our investment account. The legislature and the governor, as far as we know, are both proposing that the SBAB loans that are due under the current list, construction started, or construction authorized to start, will be paid out in 2005 or 2006. We assume that we will be able to handle short-term interest on this high school until that reimbursement starts.
As I understand the article before us, it's a transfer though, is it not?
That's correct.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Carried unanimously. I think that was a question though, Todd, really everyone wanted to know the answer to, so. Article 10, see if the town will vote to transfer and appropriate a sum of money representing the premium plus interest from the Chafee School Capital Projects Fund to the stabilization account. Any vote adopted under this article to take effect forthwith upon its adoption or act thereon. Mr. Chairman.
Moderator, I move that the sum of $19,088.04 representing the premium plus interest be transferred from the Chafee School Capital Projects Fund to the stabilization account. Any vote adopted under this article to take effect forthwith upon its adoption.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Mr. Finance Committee?
Finance Committee recommends.
Recommends. Any questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Carried unanimously. Article 11, to see if the town will vote to transfer and appropriate a sum of money representing the premium plus interest from the Clara Barton School Capital Projects Fund to the stabilization account. Any vote adopted under this article to take effect forthwith upon its adoption or act thereon. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Moderator, I move the sum of $17,022.07 representing the premium plus interest be transferred from the Clara Barton School Capital Projects Fund to the stabilization account. Any vote adopted under this article to take effect forthwith upon its adoption.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Recommendation of the Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends.
Any comments or questions? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Carried unanimously. Article 12, to see if the town will vote to authorize a revolving fund under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53E and 1/2, to which shall be credited all fees and receipts paid to the town pursuant to the, quote, regulations pertaining to cats. Said funds may be expended by the Board of Selectmen for costs incurred for cat licensing as required by said bylaw, enforcement of said bylaw, and other expenses incurred in accordance with said bylaw. The total amount which may be expended from said fund in fiscal year 2005 is $10,000 or act thereon. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Moderator, I move that Article 12 be adopted as printed.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Recommendation of the Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends.
Any questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Carried unanimously. Article 13, to see if the town will vote to authorize a revolving fund under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53E and 1/2, to which shall be credited all fees and receipts paid to the town pursuant to Chapter 21 of the Town of Oxford General Bylaws, wiring inspectors. Said funds be expended by the Board of Selectmen for costs incurred for wiring inspections as required by said bylaw, and enforcement of said bylaw, and other expenses incurred in accordance with said bylaw. The total amount which may be expended from said fund in fiscal year 2005 is $60,000 or act thereon. Mr. Chairman.
Moderator, I move that Article 13 be
Second.
Moved and seconded, recommendation of the Finance Committee?
Finance Committee recommends.
It's recommended. Any questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Carried unanimously. Article 14, to see if the town will vote to authorize a revolving fund under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53.5, E and a half, to which shall be credited all fees and receipts paid to the town pursuant to Chapter 16 of the Town of Oxford General Bylaws, Board of Health. Said funds may be expended by the Board of Health, Board of Selectmen for costs incurred for plumbing inspections as required by said bylaw, enforcement of said bylaw, and other expenses incurred in accordance with said bylaw. The total amount which may be expended from said funds in fiscal year 2005 is $60,000 or act thereon. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Moderator, I move that Article 14 be adopted.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Recommendation of the Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends.
Any questions or comments? There being none, all in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Carried unanimously. Article 15, to see if the town will vote to authorize a revolving fund under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half, to which shall be credited all fees and receipts paid to the town pursuant to Chapter 16 of the Town of Oxford General Bylaws, Board of Health. Said funds may be expended by the Board of Selectmen for costs incurred for gas inspection as required by said bylaw, enforcement of said bylaw, and other expenses incurred in accordance with said bylaw. The total amount of which may be expended from said fund in fiscal year 2005 is $10,000 or act thereon. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Moderator, I move Article 15 be adopted.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Oh, excuse me. Finance Committee? Becky?
Finance Committee recommends.
All right. Thank you. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Carried unanimously. Article 16, to see if the town will vote to accept the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53F and a half, Enterprise Fund, with respect to a community center effective fiscal year 2005, or act thereon. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Moderator, I move that Article 16 be adopted as printed.
Second.
Recommendation of the Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends.
Any questions or comments? There being none? We have an explanation.
As many of you know, within the buildings online, we now have several buildings that are vacant. And although those buildings are vacant, the town still needs to protect those assets. And even if that entails providing moderate heat during the winter time so that those buildings don't deteriorate, the town has to pay for that. We have had a number of inquiries about the possibility of renting out some of those buildings. In the DPW budget that you passed this evening, there is a position in there for community center director. It's our hope that we'll be able to have a person on board who will help coordinate the use and rental of those buildings. Now, rather than take that money out of taxation, what we're proposing here is to set up an enterprise fund, so that if an agency wishes to use those buildings for any purpose, the town will be able to lease out that space. Money from that rental or that lease would go back into the account to maintain those buildings, rather than requiring the money to come from the tax base of the town. In order to do that, we need to accept this provision of Massachusetts general law, which creates an enterprise fund. An enterprise fund can be used for recreational utilities, for facilities within the town. So if you look at this in its context, what we're asking you to do is allow us to set up an enterprise fund. If someone leases out these buildings or wants to rent space in them, what we would do is put that money into that account and use it for such things as maintenance, which will also include heat, lights, sewer, and whatever other things that we need to do to them. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. It is carried. Article 17, was there somebody who had their hand up? The article is passed, but somebody said they had their hand up. Please, I'll have to let it go on this article, but please, if I don't see you, would you stand up so I can call on you?
I just wanted to ask what the town's long-term goal is for those buildings.
Well, we've got the next article. Why don't you ask it on the next article, as it deals with the community center anyway. To see if the town will vote to raise by taxation or transfer from available funds an appropriate sum of money to operate a recreation facility, which would be the community center in fiscal year 2005 or act thereon. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the sum of $250,000 be appropriated to the community center operational budget for fiscal year 2005, and by offsetting said appropriation by estimated receipts from the community center receipts.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Recommendation of the Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends.
And now the gentleman in the back.
Same question.
Your name, please? What is it?
Rich Degno.
Richard Degna. Where are you from, Richard? Okay. Because you have no comments and just a question, we'll let you get away without that long walk.
I'll do it.
That's okay. We got it. Thank you.
Well, I think the question is a good one. The Board of Selectmen has discussed in the past what the options are available for the 4 buildings that you see in the center of town. One issue that keeps coming up is the possibility of a community center. That's why the wording is as it appears in the article. Community center concept has been talked about for several years. It would involve various kinds of community services. Now, to what extent that would apply, I can't answer that question for you this evening. It may take the form of such things as daycare. It could be such things as vocational training. It could be any number of things for which that building is suited for that would be available to the people in the community. As I suggested, there are 4 buildings that are located in that complex. I don't think the town at this moment wants to divest itself of the land. The buildings are another question. What to do with those buildings? Who would be interested in leasing them? And the first step in making that determination, both in terms of what the needs of the community are, is to get the ball rolling relative to the community center. That's why we've asked you in the budget to fund the position, why we asked you to create the enterprise fund, and why we're asking you to allow us to put the receipts under this article into that account so that we can help determine what those needs are and what the best and highest use of the building is.
Yes, sir. I'm going to put a new rule in effect. If you want to speak, perhaps, and maybe this will, that way I won't miss anybody. If you feel you want to speak, just come down to the edge of the row and just stand there, and I can't possibly miss you that way, okay? We'll try that for a while. Go ahead, sir.
I'm Joe Weldon from Nottingham Road. On those buildings, when we were talking about putting in the new schools, we kept being told on how bad the conditions were in those buildings. The boilers didn't work, they leaked, they were cold. I mean, we built the new schools, and now we're still putting money into these buildings for what? We have no children, and we have no renters in them.
Okay, so if someone wishes to answer, sir, they will.
Again, it's a very good point that you raised. The other thing that we don't have at the moment, because of the enormous amounts of money that we're putting into the construction of the existing buildings and paying off that debt, is sufficient money to tear those buildings down. And if through the enterprise fund, you do gain enough funds in that account, one of the things that you could perhaps do is to begin to remove some of those buildings. Now, I'm not suggesting for a moment that that's the way the town would want to go. I think there'd have to be additional study done in that regard. But that's one of the options, and one of the things that we're not budgeting for at the moment is to remove those buildings.
Dr. Hamel?
One of the questions I wanted to ask is that we're going to be a recurring expense of $250,000
a year. But I don't think we're going to be able to get enough rent that first year to cover all your expenses, because the heating is going to be quite expensive.
Well, I can't answer the question because we have not gone out to lease the property. I can tell you that I've had inquiries relative to the use of the building. If you look back into, for example, the Council on Aging budget that you voted this evening, one of the items that you voted was the application of revenue. You voted $20,000 from the donation account. Well, the donation account for the Council on Aging is the fees that they charge for someone else to use the building. So there are people out there are programs out there that are searching for homes, there are service organizations that are looking for space, and perhaps you could use one or perhaps two of those buildings for that purpose. The red building at the current time is being used as a storage building by the town. So you will see some use of that building. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. If we have an elementary school in South Oxford and an elementary school in North Oxford, as the population of the community grows, you may find at some point in the future, in the distant future, that you have to locate another elementary school in the town. So I think the concept of keeping the land available for purposes, for municipal purposes is a good one. The decision relative to the use of the property itself is one that we're struggling with at the present time. We are going to have to maintain those buildings, otherwise they will collapse, they will be damaged, they will be an eyesore to the community. How much we're able to get, we're hoping we'll be able to get $250,000 to operate those buildings to take them off the tax base, but there's no guarantee that that will happen.
Mr. Myron, can I make just another comment?
Yes, well, you're up.
Town manager alluded to the future possible maybe 10 to 20 years in elementary school in that area. I think that what state requirements, the way they are now in elementary school, that will not most likely be enough land for an elementary school in the future.
Any other questions or comments? Or the gentleman back?
Tower Hill Road. I'm just curious, has the town looked into how much that land cost and what we could get if we were to sell that land?
We have not had the land appraised.
The question I have is again, it creates the other things. We're looking at outlaying $250,000 without a plan in fact. I'm wondering if it might be better off as a town maintaining the buildings for another year at minimal cost, and then look into finding people to lease that space in the interim year, and then possibly, budgeting, this amount of money for the next fiscal year.
Just like to talk about direction, we're not asking you to raise $250,000. This article asks that the receipts, if we are successful in renting the building, that we be allowed to rent and use the money up to $250,000. So we're not asking you for an appropriation. We're asking you for permission to lease out the building. Actually, the Board of Selectmen have the right to lease out the building. What we're asking you is any fees associated with rental of that building to come back into the town in an enterprise fund. And that enterprise fund monies will be used to offset the cost of that building. So hopefully, in a perfect world, we wouldn't have to ask you for any more money to maintain those buildings. We're trying to make them self-sustaining without putting it on the tax.
That's, I think a fair reading of the article, though, wouldn't lead to that conclusion. So you're suggesting that this money, that we're not going to raise money to operate a recreational facility. We're just going to appropriate it if we get it?
That's correct, Mr. Moderator.
Okay.
Listen to the motion. It says we appropriate from the community center operational budget for fiscal year 2005, and by offsetting said appropriation by estimated receipts from the community center receipts. It's the same kind of action that you took when you voted the sewer budget under Article 2 of the
But I would only suggest that what the people originally, if they read the article, it says the vote for raised by taxation, so I think that explanation is certainly appropriate.
Mr. Moderator, the finance committee did not vote to appropriate $250,000, but I apologize. That was the issue that was before us. It was the money came in, the revenue generated up to $250,000.
Okay, I'm glad we got that cleared up, and your questions help with that. Any other questions or comments? Jing?
Yep, I got somebody in the wings, don't let me leave them there.
I guess that was my question about how it was raised, the people money will go to raise my taxation and from the local fund. So they wanted to make a motion to change the wording on this.
No, because the motion that was made under the article warned you that this is what could happen at a town meeting, but the actual motion deals with the same subject matter, but says, I move the sum of $250,000 be appropriated for the community center operational budget for fiscal year 2005, and by offsetting said appropriation by estimated receipts from the community cash receipts. It doesn't raise
Reread what was entered into the clerk's minutes, please.
But the article that was printed, to see if the town will vote to raise by taxation or transfer from available funds and appropriate a sum of money to operate a recreation facility, which would be the community center in fiscal year 2005 or act thereon. That was the article. The motion, however, was different. As the motion is, I move that the sum of $250,000 be appropriated for the community center operational budget for fiscal year 2005, and by offsetting said appropriation by estimated receipts from the community center receipts. Any other questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Article 18, to see if the town will vote to raise by taxation or transfer from available funds a sum of money to provide a fiscal year 2005 swim program at Carbuncle Pond or act thereon.
Mr. Moderator, I move that Article 18 be postponed indefinitely.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Recommendation of the Finance Committee. Any questions or comments? Mr. Crowley? Explanation.
Mr. Moderator, if I may, I believe the funding for this came from another resource which doesn't have to be raised from taxation. I believe it is state from, it is a swim lessons.
Mr. Mr. as a trustee, we have been receiving the appropriate $7,800 for this one program.
By way of explanation, the reading of the Carbuncle Pond will be paid for by the boat excise taxes. The fun club and the swim program are both funded this year by the Smolensky Trust, and the lifeguard for the Carbuncle Pond is funded through the DPW budget. So the whole program, the beach will be open, the swim program will be open for a fee. I don't know what that fee will be, to learn how to swim, but there will be lifeguard there, and that valuable asset will be once again open for this town's use this summer.
Any other questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor of postponing the article indefinitely say aye. All opposed, no. It is carried. Article 19, to see if the town will vote to adopt the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 5, Small Parents 54, exemption for small personal property accounts to increase the minimum fair cash value required for personal property accounts to be taxed from $5,000 to $10,000, and for provisions to take effect in fiscal year 2005 or act thereon.
Mr. Moderator, I move that Article 19 be adopted as printed.
Second.
Recommendation of the Finance Committee?
Finance Committee recommends.
Any questions or comments? Yes, sir.
Explanation.
Explanation. This is Mr. Rudziak, who is your assessor.
I was going to say, good evening. The reason I'm requesting this is business personal property is essentially a double taxation. Nationally, many states have no business personal property tax, or the exemption level is $50,000 above. There's a couple of reasons for this. Most of the products that are bought to run a small business, cash register, counters, chairs, you pay sales tax on it. That'd be like you buying something and taking it home and then being taxed on it again later. Secondarily, they also pay an income tax on that. They make their net income at the end of the year by using those products, the cash registers, the pizza machines, whatever they have. They pay a tax on the income they earn from using those machines and the other things that we tax as business property. It essentially ends up being a hardship on a small business owner. It's tough enough to be a small business owner in any town, and it is in this town. And consequently, that's a little more money out of their pocket than they need to spend. Additionally, on the town side, currently we have out of 211 business personal property accounts, 63 are between the exemption limit of $5,000 that we have now and the $10,000 limit that I'm asking for. Those produce a total of about $6,300 for 63 accounts into the town. For those, we have to pay anywhere from $10 to $20 per account to maintain the accounts. So you can see it's really not a very cost-effective thing when it can be a benefit to the business owner. I'd like to see the limit higher, but this is all the state allows us to do. So I'd recommend, give a break to your local business owners. It won't cost the town very much at all. And it is good for business locally. I think that's what we all would like to encourage.
Thank you, Jim. Any other questions or comments? Todd?
I'm a little confused with your explanation that you want to raise what I have to pay because it costs money to maintain these. I'm confused.
I think before, if you had $5,000, you had to report your personal property. Now you don't have to report your personal property unless you have $10,000 worth.
That's correct. It raises the limit. That's what you can be taxed on up to $10,000. If you have it under $10,000, it won't cost you.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Russ, you?
I think our town assessor did an excellent job of explaining how this works, and I totally agree with you. As a small business owner, I've always thought, especially when I was first starting out my business, I always thought that this was a double taxation. And we want to encourage more business, I think especially small businesses. Certainly the first year that the people are in business are the toughest ones, and these are the ones who could really use the tax break. It's not costing a lot of money, in fact, it's going to save some money, as was pointed out. I strongly request that everybody support this, especially for new business owners.
Any other questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Carried unanimously. Article 20, to see if the town will vote to raise by taxation or transfer from available funds an appropriate sum of money to the Carbuncle Pond de-weeding account. Any vote adopted under this article to take effect forthwith upon its adoption or act thereon. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Moderator, I move the sum of $4,500 be transferred from the Municipal Waterways Receipts Fund reserved for appropriation to the Carbuncle Pond de-weeding account, Any vote adopted under this article to take effect forthwith upon its adoption.
Second.
Recommendation, thank you. Recommendation of Finance Committee?
Finance Committee recommends.
Planning Board, you know, pass? You recommend it too, thank you. Any questions or comments? All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. It's carried. Article 21, see if the town will vote in accordance with the revisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53F and a half, to raise by taxation or transfer from available funds or any combination thereof and appropriate the sum of $25,000 to be expended upon under the direction of the youth commissions for the purposes of establishing a revolving fund to finance a general operating budget for Oxford Youth Commission's program and activities beginning with fiscal 2005 or act thereon.
Mr. Moderator, I move that Article 21 be postponed indefinitely.
Second.
Seconded, moved and seconded, recommendation of Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends the same.
Any questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Carried unanimously. Article 22, see if the town will vote to raise by taxation or transfer from available funds and appropriate a sum of money for clerical support for an ad hoc charter review committee as appointed by the Board of Selectmen or act thereon. Mr. Chairman.
Moderator, I move that the sum of $1,500 be raised by taxation and appropriated for the purpose specified in Article 22.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Recommendation of the Finance Committee.
Finance Committee did not recommend the second.
Not recommended. Any other questions or comments? Dr. Hamel? Go ahead. You want to speak, Dr. Hamel?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I called you. You took a long time. This gentleman's waiting here, but you were first.
I'd like to ask the town council whether it's appropriate to spend this money out of taxation for a committee that was not appointed by the town meeting. This committee was appointed by the Board of Selectmen, it was not appointed by the town meeting, and yet they're coming to the town meeting to ask for $1,500. I'd like to know if this is an appropriate article.
Through you, Mr. Moderator. In my opinion, this is a lawful expense of money. Certainly, if the selectmen was performing this task themselves, the payment for clerical support would be proper. In this case, the selectmen, I gather, has appointed a committee to work on this issue. So in my opinion, legally, there's no problem with this. Whether town meeting wants to support it or not is up to the meeting, but I do not see a legal problem with this expenditure.
Thank you. Mr. Hammond?
Alan Kennedy, Chairman of the Ad hoc Charter Review Committee. We have been meeting twice a month since last September, reviewing the charter and other aspects that affect the charter. All of this work is volunteer work, and we're meeting good 2.5, 3 hours a night. We didn't realize it was going to be this detailed, and some of the clerical work that we're doing on our own, at home, our own computers, our own paperwork, our own time, is something that most of the committees have someone to do. A lot of chunk of money, we may not even use the whole of it. It would be nice if we were able to just, turn to a person and we keep some stuff processed for it, to make sure that something gets down and posted, and make sure that the typing is done with it. Right now, it's all a matter of, just any of us get the time to do it. We've already lost one member of the committee, actually because it was such a burden to put on someone who's trying to do a job at home, raise a family, and volunteer for the committee. So, we wholeheartedly hope you'll support this budget. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Dr. Hamel?
I'm completely sympathy with Mr. Hammond, but the thing is that this committee, if given to this committee, it should be given from the Board of Selectmen's budget, not authorized by the town meeting. Because it's the Board of Selectmen that did it on their own without the authority of the town meeting. And I don't think we should approve this.
Move the question.
Any other, just let me check, are there any other questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no? No. The chair is in doubt. Do we have people counters, or do you think we can count? Okay, well, we'll try a standing count. All those in favor of the article, please stand. In favor of the article. You guys, you do the middle, you do the side. I'll do this board and these group, okay? And I'll do this group.
Chuck, you said?
I got 40 on my side. Yes, I did. That's all I counted. The planning board and this group, I got 40. How many did you get here?
27.
Remember what we'll do? Okay. Thank you. All opposed, please stand. This is going to be close. I got 19. Count her if she's sitting. We probably will have to have a... Did you count all of those over there? 16?
120.
How much?
120.
To how many? 96. Okay, what were these, a no? There being 96 in the affirmative and 120 in the negative, the article does not pass. Article 23, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to prepare and submit to the Massachusetts Economics Assistance Coordinating Council a certified project application to establish an economic opportunity area on a portion of parcel of land located on the westerly side of Old Webster Road, shown on Assessors Map 54 as parcel A04. Said portion of land is shown as proposed parcel on a sketch of land in Oxford, Massachusetts, prepared for Elmar Realty Trust on April 8, 1999 by Parla Land Surveying, Inc., or act thereon. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Moderator, I move that Article 23 be adopted as printed.
Second.
Moved and seconded, recommendation of the Finance Committee, defer.
Finance Committee
Recommends. The Planning Board? Do you have a recommendation? Okay, thank you. Any explanation? Well, if no one else wants an explanation, it's fine with me, but it would make more sense.
This is the poster that you saw outside in the lobby on the way in tonight.
That surprised me.
Back here, you can see it. Basically, this is a piece of land shown in white that's opposite
I must not know what's going
on Old Webster Road. The company that wants to come in is, that wants to move to that site is called Wilson Language Learning. Training Corporation. Thank you. Wilson Language Training Corporation. They specialize in reading programs and the like. We'll get more information on that in a minute. This article is the first part of two articles, Article 23 and 24, that actions that we need to take to give them some tax incentives for moving into town, and that allows them to take advantage of a bigger tax advantage that the state offers for companies like this. So the first step is to declare this piece of land is about 10 acres in size. And again, it's opposite ITG, just south of the Church of the Latter-day Saints. And that's what Article 23 is about.
Okay, any other questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor say, okay, thank you. As I say, if you're going to ask a question, try to come down front so I can see you.
Richard Van Charlton Street. I do have one question. Is this going to open up for low-income housing in that area?
No, this is industrial zone land. It's, has nothing to do with housing, it has to do with employment.
Any other questions or comments?
Yes, there's one up there.
George?
How many people will this business employ? I'm in favor of giving tax breaks to businesses that are going to employ a number of people. But if this is going to employ about 8 or 10 people, then I can't see giving them a tax break and the rest of the taxpayers have to make it up.
George has bad legs, we'll let him sit down.
Yes, I was saving that commentary for the next article, but since they're related, we can get into the details of it. Wilson currently operates in a facility, a rented mill building in Millbury. They employ 50 people. They want to build a new facility in Oxford, bring their 50 people here and expand their staff to 100. So they are looking to employ double their size over the term of the agreement. So it's a nice operation. If you like, there's, beyond the employment, they have offered, because they specialize in this kind of activity, the learning and training and reading programs, they have offered to the school department, the Oxford School Department, programs, materials, training seminars, online services that have a total value of about $130,000 over the 20-year life of the tax agreement. In addition to that, they will be extending the water main. ITG, you'll recall, a few years ago, ITG brought the water main from across the river, from Harvard Street, brought it down Old Webster Road to their facility. We need to extend it about another 1,000 feet to get to the proposed Wilson Learning Facility, which brings that more of the water service into this industrial zone area of town. So there's that other spin-off that's a good thing as well.
Any other questions or comments?
Can I answer that, Jim? Very quickly, Mr. Myers.
That's okay. Someone wants to speak down here, why don't you come on down and get up in front?
And on top of that, what I want to stress is, you're not going to be paying any more taxes no matter what happens on that property. Currently, that property is taxed as vacant land, which is the lowest value you could possibly have. As soon as its use changes to something commercial or industrial, the value of the land immediately goes up. When they build something on there, whatever the percentage we've agreed upon to tax the improvements at, that's all additional to that. So no matter, what all these other benefits are, the tax benefits to the town are immediate and will continue over the life of the TIF agreement.
Next gentleman was, had his hand up right there, and then you, Mark.
I'm Sullivan, I'm Chester Hill. Is the TIF tied to the new job growth? So they don't meet their goals, we take the TIF back?
Well, procedurally, the question is, if they don't meet their employment goals, we take the TIF back. Town meeting is authorizing the selectmen to enter into the TIF agreement in Article 24. If they fail to meet their goals, we will then come back here and ask town meeting to decertify the project, and it goes to the state, and they would lose their benefits. It's not an automatic, but you will be involved if that ever happens.
Any other questions? Mark?
no arrangements have been made with the school department at all, no approach to my knowledge, and I would fully be interested in hearing from them. But as far as supporting the TIF or bringing new business to town, I'm not against. But we have had no dealings with it, and I want to clarify that.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Any other questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. It's carried unanimously. Article 24, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to enter into a tax increment financing plan with the Wilson Language Training Corporation for property located at 47 Old Webster Road, Oxford, Mass. 01540, which is a portion of land shown on Assessors Map 58, Parcel A04, pursuant to the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 59, with conditions to be determined by the Board of Selectmen in connection with development of said property, and to authorize the Board of Selectmen to take any action necessary to obtain approval of the certified project application and to implement the tax increment financing plan, a copy of which is on file in the office of the town clerk or act thereon. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Moderator, I move that Article 24 be adopted as printed.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Recommendation of the Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends.
Any questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. It's carried unanimously. Article 25, to see if the town will vote to accept the provisions of Chapter 137 of the Acts of 2003, employees serving in the armed forces or act thereon.
Mr. Moderator, I move that Article 25 be adopted as printed.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Recommendation of the Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends.
We have a brief explanation.
My understanding of the Chapter 137 of the Acts of 2003 is that if we have any active serviceman or woman who is called out active duty, we will make up the difference, I believe, in the salaries that they get when they are overseas or on active duty versus what they were making here, so that their family stays whole while they're abroad.
Is this for town employees?
Yes.
No. Okay. Any questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. It's carried unanimously. Article 26, to see if the town will vote to accept the special provisions of Massachusetts general laws. The others are just regular provisions. Chapter 40, Section 3, which allows that in any city or town that accepts this proviso, any such balance shall remain in said account and may be expanded for the upkeep and maintenance of any facility under the control of the school committee or act thereon. Mr. Chairman?
I move that Article 26 be postponed indefinitely.
Second.
Moved and seconded to postpone indefinitely. Recommendation of the Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends the same.
Okay, any questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. It's carried unanimously. Article 27, I assure you, I am not going to read. It's the noise bylaw, and hopefully someone will give us a succinct explanation of its terms and conditions. Mr. Chairman.
Article 27 be adopted as printed.
Okay. Recommendation of the Finance Committee.
Finance Committee does not recommend.
Finance Committee does not recommend. Okay, any explanation? Any questions or comments? Yes, in the...
Why is the Finance Committee not recommending?
Okay.
Finance Committee debated this issue because, I don't know, do people know what this is about?
Go ahead.
We felt it would be unenforceable, and that other towns and cities we've been aware of, such as Worcester, Rapids, and I think the companies once they set aside these things because of the cost effectiveness, it would create a burden for the police department. And establishing what these noise decibels would be, following people around, so as a prudent expenditure, we didn't think this was such.
Okay, John, who's next? Charles? Then
I'm Kelly Proctor, 51 Main Street, Oxford. I'm going to speak on behalf of the Oxford Business Association first, and then a few personal comments after that. So, the Oxford Business Association has some concerns about this because under the exemptions, the industrial parks are not listed. Also, there is no exemption for construction as well. And we all know that they do make a lot of noise. I don't know if everybody in the audience knows much about decibels. How some people measure decibels, and most of them don't have decibels, but we use in our pockets anyway. And in engineering school, I remember decibel levels around 55 or even relatively quiet. And most of the ones I have filtered noise of about 80 decibels. Give you some kind of idea what I'm personally familiar with. But anyway, the ODA was very concerned about the fact that some of the businesses were not in the exemption areas. On a personal note, I would agree with the previous comment about enforceability. I see a lot of laws in daily practices in attorneys now, and I would have to say this is one of the most important written ordinances that I've seen in my life. I will point out a few of the issues that I have with it, strictly from a legal standpoint, and it deals with the definitions of various terms, such as plainly audible, unnecessarily loud, plainly audible again. There's an issue as the timing, daytime and nighttime. You really think you know what daytime and nighttime is until it really gets contested. And there's some issues relative to that. Normal background noise, I have no clue what that is. Certainly don't have any clue how to measure it. You go 10 decibels, 5 decibels over normal background noise, I wouldn't have a clue how to begin to determine what that is. But more particularly, some of the other concerns under the exemption are the fact that things are left out. Not should have been included if they went along with something like this. One of the obvious ones that struck me is if you get home from work and you want to mow your lawn at 7:01 p.m., you have a problem. Seems to me it's probably better for the safety and welfare of a lot of individuals that mow their lawn at 7:01 p.m. and not at 12 noon. But be as it may, it looks like you can't mow your lawn after 7 o'clock at night. That would be a problem. There's no exemption for parade.
Chief?
Charles. Once again, this is a project that the Board of Selectmen and I have been working on over a period of close to a year now, trying to find a way to deal with the issues that many of you have in the community, whether it be loud stereo from an next door neighbor, somebody up the street, someone's holding a party, and it's gone past the point that you've been able to put up with it, now it's becoming annoying and very disturbing to you. So we look for some type of definition and way for the community to handle that. The officers could go out to this location to serve notice to the offender that they're making noise and to disturb the neighbors. Most of the time that solves the problem. Those occasions where it doesn't and we have to go back again, we would not be able to issue a set of citations. That if you accepted that citation and admit to the fact, you can pay your fine right here in town through the non-criminal disposition process. If you wanted to contest it, you go down to the Dudley District Court and go through that process. The hardest part of this was trying to find some criteria to use to apply across the community. The proposed bylaw is made up of bylaws from other communities that have been accepted and have passed the challenge and test of the courts and the Attorney General's office. And a lot of the language in there, especially the back half of it, deals with regulations that have been promulgated by the Department of Environmental Protection. That's why you see the Board of Health there as being one of the enforcing agents to do that. If there's a business or a facility in your neighborhood or part of town that constantly is emitting noises, there's a mechanism to address that noises and have those noises abated and or a complaint issued against the people or citation issued against the business owner. So this has been a work where we're trying to find a way to deal with those issues here at a local level rather than drag people off to court to stop the problem. Mr. Clinton said the first part of it says playing the audible at the distance of 150 feet. So that doesn't mean if your next door neighbor is playing radio, they're 50 feet away, that they're automatically going to be subject to this violation. It goes to those extremes where we have people who are making noises that are disturbing the neighborhood and the community at large, and we need a tool and mechanism to do that without going through the summons process and immediately going down to the Dudley District Court.
Any other questions or comments?
Yes. After reading through this, I agree with this gentleman here, but I'm a private citizen. There's a lot of issues in this law that could come out and it could hurt private people also. You've got for a noise, for how long could the noise be? I could have a neighbor that just dislikes me and could keep calling the police every time I start up my diesel van. You have trucks that drive across the street that may definitely hear. I'm 700 feet up, I can hear those trucks each day when they hit their engine brakes down the street. I can hear my neighbor talking just 200 feet away from me at nighttime, and when they're just talking in a normal voice. There's too many open issues in here. You have time frames on here, again, mowing the lawn. You get to 9 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, which is already half a day for a lot of people that work second shift to get in, want to get the lawn mowed and go off and enjoy the rest of the day doing something else. So you have a lot of time restrictions on this that are unreasonable for private citizens. It may be great for somebody who's trying to sleep late, but for other people that are trying to get it done on their own personal property, you can't do it. Most air conditioners can be heard 150 feet away from the fans going on that allow noise level, and it's a constant noise level. Your time limits, what time of day and what time of night is not explained, and that's a big controversy even in voting now. What is daytime and what is nighttime voting? That still hasn't been answered and it keeps being brought to court. Also, being in the military, being a safety supervisor, and measuring decibels all the time around jet engines and generators and other things. To try to have anybody carry a noise meter and set what 55 decibels is and what other areas is, depending on which way that there's a lot of loopholes in here that's going to leave a lot of argument and a lot of time in court spent by the town's attorneys trying to make things. Because anybody who contested, and unless the town had a sound engineer that was on staff at the time and measured that sound, it's a judgment call, and a lot of that's going to go effect. So I recommend that you vote against this, and that a lot of these issues be brought up, and that I agree, there should be noise ordinance in town, but it has to be more specific, and it has to be a little bit more exemptions put in there, and some of the exemption times need to be specific, so that people can't contest it, and that a lot of time and energy and money is wasted in court trying to fight it.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Yes.
Just real quickly, I have to agree also that we should vote against this. I can think of one example. My husband owns a boat, and he comes home and he has to rinse out the motor. And that motor is so loud that sometimes I think I'd like to call the police on him. I mean, it really is. It's very disrupting. But, I mean, he does this very frequently. So, you know, but it is very, very loud. But, I mean, you know, if we pass this ordinance, technically the police could come and hand him a ticket every time that he does this. And I mean, he's one of the most law-abiding people that I know. So, I understand the intent of this. The people on these base, you know, radios, and it is annoying. But I don't think that this particular ordinance is going to be quite right yet. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments? There being none. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. As you can see, it was very difficult to even get anybody to read this proposed law because of the length, and not only that, how many different aspects of noise that we have to consider and to encompass in this particular law. I think it is a positive approach for the community to explore such a law. And I think a lot of positive work has gone into this by not only the Board of Selectmen, but by the police department, reviewed by town council. But in my humble opinion, I feel that it needs more study. I think we need a noise bylaw. I know there's been times when I would have loved to have called the police department to have something enforced, but I know it wouldn't do me any good because there's no law on the books. So we do need something. The Board of Selectmen has attempted to have public hearings regarding this. And we had, in my opinion, a very small turnout, which was unfortunate. I think because of the complexity of this bylaw, that we should probably look at postponing this for a period of time to allow us to do further research and to allow us to have more public hearings where we can get more input from people. At the last public hearing that the board had, I don't think there was more than maybe 10 people present. And this affects the entire community. I think something that's as important as this and has such an impact, we need to have your input. So I would like to see a series of public hearings be held in regards to this so that we can get more feedback from you, the people who are going to benefit by a law that we put on the books. So I don't know where this is going, but my suggestion is, and I would yield to Mr. Coonan because he was the proponent of this. And I think it's a very good idea, and I think Mr. Coonan is certainly on the right track on this issue. And I think it's an important issue that we ought to explore. So I would yield to Mr. Coonan to see what approach he would like to take on this since he was the proponent of it.
Thank you, Mr. Sapp. Just hearing comments tonight and hearing the input from the public, I would concur with my colleague that yes, we do want to keep this moving forward. Is that tonight by postponing tonight, but secondly by making this as part of Selectmen's weekly business or monthly business, to hear your inputs, to see how we can put a bylaw that's going to work for the entire community and the community as a whole. Is that when you have issues out there with noise, is that people aren't being disturbed at certain times, but you also have rights to create noise when needed, as in terms of your silent times as well. And that's what we need to know. We have to create a happy medium for our community, for neighbors, and for everyone's peace at large. So, yes, I would, if I could amend that, Mr. Moderator, to postpone.
Postpone indefinitely.
Postpone indefinitely, Mr. Moderator. That's the motion.
Moved and seconded.
Just briefly, Mr. Moderator, I just want to point out that the board did discuss this in several meetings. It was not a majority vote of the board of selectmen to support this noise bylaw. It was a majority vote, unanimous vote to give it to the people, the legislative body, to vote on at this town meeting. And I recall in our discussions about this that this particular noise bylaw, which I think is government to the excess, unenforceable, costs more than the benefit would be to the community, was one that the board had rejected. And when we discussed it, we had really pared it down so that the example of the lawnmower use at 7:01 p.m. would not have been an issue. We took out any references to lawnmower use out of our request when we asked town council to review it. And this is what they gave us back. This noise bylaw, I think, has been stated several times, is absolutely unenforceable, excessive government, and I would encourage people to vote this down and send it back to the Board of Selectmen to look at again. If it's the legislature's decision to vote through something that's less restrictive and more realistic, then that's what should happen. And I do want to point out that my colleague, Selectman Coonan, has worked extremely hard on this issue. He's the one who brought it to the board's attention. But in this form, I think that this is not in the best interest of the town.
Okay, any other questions?
Move the question.
All right. Move the question takes priority. All those, you have to need a 2/3 vote, that's all further discussion. All those in favor of moving the question say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. No. The motion before you is to postpone indefinitely. It's now before you. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. It is carried. So ends Article 27. Article 28. See if the town will vote to amend the Oxford zoning bylaws, Chapter 3, use regulations, by deleting Section 1.2, non-conforming uses and structures, and inserting the following or act thereon. And once again, I'm not going to read it, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Moderator, I'll move that Article 28 be adopted as printed.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Recommendation of Finance Committee.
Finance Committee defers to the Planning Board.
Recommendation of Planning Board.
Planning Board recommends.
Planning Board recommends. Could I have an explanation?
Yes, Mr. Moderator, thank you. The purpose of this change is to make the Section 1.2 non-conforming uses and structures more consistent with state law. State law gives, the Zoning Act gives special consideration to structures that are residential structures for single and two-family use. The bylaw, as it's written, does not distinguish between a single and two-family structure, which is non-conforming because it has lot size or setbacks, and a business or industrial structure. So the intent here is to make it easier for you to, for example, add a garage to your home. The way the bylaw is written now, any expansion, even to a home, would be limited to 25%. If you think about it, some of the homes in the older neighborhoods in this town are maybe 1,000, 1,200 feet. A two-car garage is about 600 square feet. That could be 50% of the size of your house. You could not add a two-car garage to your house under the current bylaw. You could have had a two-car garage if you built it before 1987, but not now, the way it's currently listed. So the intent here is to make this conform with state law, to give you that opportunity to more easily add to your home and still keep the restrictions on non-conforming businesses.
Any questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Carried unanimously. Article 29, see if the town will vote to amend the auction zoning bylaw, Chapter XB, also known as 15, Site Plan Review, by deleting sections 1 through 6 and inserting the following or act thereon. And I'm not going to read that, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Moderator, then I will move that Article 29 be adopted as printed.
Second.
Recommendation of the Finance Committee.
Finance Committee, once again, refers to the planning board.
Recommendation of the Planning Board.
Recommend.
Does recommend. Explanation?
Again, this is a revision to chapter for site plan review. There's a few changes in here that aren't obvious unless you were familiar with the existing chapter 15 or XB. The first is that in section 1, we added the provision that the planning board is to ensure that the design and layout of developments will conform to stormwater management requirements. This is a new requirement. The DPW director and I have been trying to get to conform with federal law on this, and this is one of the one of the ways we have to address it. So from now on, site plan review will be specifically required to look at that. In section 2, we've consolidated all the reasons that you have to go to site plan review. Mr. Moderator and I have had discussions on this in different capacities regarding how do you get into the site plan review requirement. This revision of section 2 clarifies that. Section 3 has been reorganized so that it's clear that there are certain documents that are supporting documents to the site plan and not part of the site plan. The way it's currently listed, you have to have a traffic report, for example, and it suggests, the way it's worded suggests that it's on the plan. So this simply makes it clear that there is a plan, and then there is supporting documentation required. Section 4 has not been changed. Section 5, under procedures, the only significant change there, other than perhaps correcting some spelling errors, is that the 5.6, the planning board, upon written request of the applicant, may waive any of the requirements of Section 3. Section 3 is the submission requirements, where the project involves relatively simple development plans or the reuse of pre-existing buildings. Right, as site plan review is currently structured, the planning board has no choice but to require that if you submit such a plan and meet those strict requirements. This would allow you, as a business developer, and this only applies, this does not apply to single and two-family homes. This applies to everything else. You could request a waiver for reusing an existing parking lot, for example, or a small development plan. And then Section 6 was simply a reorganization. It was originally 6.0 basic requirements, and then A, B, and C. I thought to be consistent, it should be .1, .2, and .3.
Any questions or comments? There being none. Charlie?
Charlie Proctor again. The Oxford Business Association has questions and comments, and maybe I just ask Joe quickly. Joe, under procedures 5.1, it's a requirement, as it's written at least, that site plans be prepared by registered engineers, architects, and landscape architects. First question, is that enforced? And secondly, is there some reason why someone fairly adept at doing plans, who's not one of those three persons, can't submit their own plans?
Section 5.1 is not new. The current bylaw requires one of those three do that.
However, it does say unless waived by the planning board.
Right.
The new provision would allow that, yes.
Yeah, we know it's waivable. We just find out, what's that?
Now be waivable.
Yes.
If you adopt this, it's currently not waivable.
Okay, so the clarification on that is that until this passes, you couldn't get a waiver. Now you can get a waiver, so that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Okay, we cleared that one. The other one is on 2.2. It looks like Central Professional District got, how should I say, identified by itself here or maybe discriminated against in some way. Why is Central Business District all by itself? Or maybe you can explain to the voters, how that lies within town and what districts it affects and what it doesn't.
That the reference you make, 2.2, is the current reading of the chapter 15. This is not a change. Why? So to answer your second question, I don't know why, but I suspect that the Central Professional District, which runs from, I think just north of the library, north to Front Street, is Central Professional. That district was created to protect the older homes and the nice appearance. You'll sometimes, I hear it a lot, I know if you all hear it every once in a while, people drive into town and say, wow, what a beautiful Main Street we have. A lot of people say that. And I think the Central Professional District was created to protect that view. It's in the bylaw now, so it's not something that we're proposing to add or to change.
Any other questions or comments? There being none. Oh.
No.
No. Okay. There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Carried unanimously. Article 30. See if the town will vote to amend the zoning map of the town of Oxford. And I will not read that. I'm sure it will be explained to us. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Moderator, I move that Article 30 be adopted as printed.
Second.
Moved and seconded, recommendation of the Finance Committee, defer.
Defer to the planning board.
Planning Board?
Voted to recommend.
Voted to recommend. You want to show that?
Explanation, Mr. Moderator? This is the section of Oxford along Route 20. The Charlton Town line is here. Chevick Transportation is here. So it's from the area where the extra space storage is, just north of, well, it's actually northwest of extra space storage. The general business zone is between these two lines. It extends 1,000 feet from the center of Route 20 in each direction. The problem is that Oxbow Road comes off here and then off into Charlton. And these, the lots along our Oxbow Road are primarily used for residential purposes. There are houses there. That's not to say there aren't houses somewhere else on Route 20. But we have a request from a property owner that owns a major piece here that his realtor tells him that the highest and best use of that land is residential. And it made sense to do that. We want to keep the business zone here, however, at 400 feet deep. So as the text is written, it specifically describes this area. The pink line or at the bottom and the white line at the top will be changed from general business to residential 2. The effect is extending the residential zoning down towards Route 20, encompassing all of that area north of
First to the planning board. Planning board?
Voted to recommend.
Votes to recommend. Want to give an explanation of that, Joe?
This you may have seen before. The The general business zoning district extends to the west. This is the center of town. Town Hall's here. The Providence and Worcester Railroad is currently the boundary between the central business district and the general business district. There's residential zoning to the north and to the south. The highway interchange zone is here around exit 4, surrounding exit 4. The proposal is to change the zoning of this from general business to central business, thereby extending the central business zoning towards 395. Now, thank you. The reason for that is that central business is a more restrictive business district. It allows all the uses that, other way around. General business is the least restrictive. It allows all of the uses that are in central business, plus some others. And the others that we've identified as perhaps the reason for a lot of traffic accidents along that strip are the so-called get and go, what we call get and go. Dunkin' Donuts, McDonald's, Honey Farms. You go in, you get your product, you go. So it creates a lot of traffic, a lot of circulation, a lot of in and out. It results in conflict with the through traffic there. Whereas these sites, and if you folks have seen this on television, the tape explaining the articles, I have this nice colored up chart that shows where the accidents were for a 2-year period between January 1 of 01 and February 28th of 03. And primarily the accidents were at those sites. A large number were, and they were due to the conflict between people trying to get in or out of. This will not change the situation that exists, which is to say Honey Farms will continue to be in business, McDonald's will continue to be in business, Dunkin' Donuts will continue to be in business. They will simply become pre-existing non-conforming uses. What that will mean is if they want to expand, they'll have to get a special permit from the zoning board, and they'll be limited to 25% expansion. On the other hand, they won't have any competition because who's the other donut guy? The other donut guy won't be allowed to move in. Gulf won't be able to move in, and Burger King won't be able to move in. So there's benefits to them and there are disadvantages to them.
John. Being very familiar with some of the problems that you pointed on traffic, I think they're not addressing the issue. The issue was when the state did the work for the roadways, they did a poor job. We have bottlenecks there now. We do not have a center turn lanes to turn left or right, which could have been. The town had the right over there that wasn't used. We used it for private business parking. Okay. Now, hindsight being 2020, the planning board also approved the parking configuration for Dunkin' Donuts. Instead of only allowing an exit only onto Sutton Ave and having them do their entrance off Parker Ave, they allowed the parking lot to be configured in such a manner that it's detrimental and causes accidents. The issue isn't new business coming in, because now what you're saying is that we're going to pay twice. We pay every time we have an accident, and we pay because the road wasn't configured right, and in hindsight being 2020, we didn't come to protest like we should have, I guess. So we've gone to the planning meeting and tried to educate them on some of the decisions. Now we're going to say to ourselves, okay, we're going to be restricted, and we're going to devalue the tax base. So we're going to pay twice. We're paying, as Joe just indicated, the situation is not going to go away. The businesses that are there now are not going to cease. We're going to stop any new businesses. That's kind of reactive. The proactive measure on this to address these issues, we should be demanding that the roadway be improved. There'd be a right turn lane coming into Oxford at the light. The road be widened and better access be provided to these businesses so that people can turn left or right. And that would be the correct approach to this. What we're taking is a reactive approach and saying, okay, we got it wrong the first time, so we're not going to let anything else go on the second time. And that's kind of the bottom line. This is the way I see it.
Hi, I'm Ron Rowe. I live on Walcott Street, which is right there. And I also have a business on Walcott, on Lynn Street. And what this is going to do, the way I see it, is it's not going to allow me to do what I want with my land in the future. I'm not saying I plan on doing anything, but it's going to stop me from doing it. And I agree with this gentleman that I don't think it's the businesses. I love Dunkin' Donuts because it plugs up the road and I can get out of my street. It's not so much the road, it's not the businesses, it's the stupidity of the people coming down that street at 60 miles an hour. And the other thing is that, we're talking about the businesses. And, all these people that have businesses on that street, it's a great street for it because you're in and out and you're going and everything keeps moving. Now, if you look at who's on that street, it's not people from Oxford. I mean, there's a few. It's Dudley, it's Charlton, it's Webster, because they don't have any other place to go. This is the easiest way to go. So we've got a highway going right through our beautiful downtown, and we can't use it because we've got all these other people there. Personally, I know about land planning and roads and things like that. And what the tendency from a lot of towns to do is to narrow the roads or put curbs in it or put obstacles, call it, to slow the traffic down. Because this road is easily accessible, everybody's going to go right through it. You look down Charlton Street, now those aren't Oxford residents, those are Dudley. And in the morning it's backed way down to the town barn, and at night it's backed up, it's up onto the highway. And it's a short-lived thing. It's for an hour or so a day. So, I live there, and I haven't been in an accident yet, but, you just got to watch it. But the main thing is that I don't think that us business owners that live there and have business and have land there should be penalized for this other thing. I know the police are there all the time, and the thing is, we need to slow that traffic down. I don't think we need to change what's going on there. I think there are good businesses there on that street. It's a prime space. And if Oxford wants businesses, that's the place. I can see beautifying it. I say narrow it down to 2 lanes, put a middle thing in it with a medium and a row of trees going up it. That's the ugliest road from the highway to the town hall, the ugliest piece of road there is in the whole town. And because why? Because we widened it out to make the traffic go better. It doesn't make sense. We want to slow it down and do it. If you have businesses there, these people aren't even using the businesses. They're going right through. So what is the use? It's all compound. But anyway, that's my opinion. I say don't change the zoning. Let's keep it the way it is. Let's control things in a manner. Let's look at the road situation here. Thank you.
Yes. Sue.
This zoning change would not prevent businesses from going in, but just certain types of businesses. And the types of businesses this would prevent are the ones that are causing these accidents. Dunkin' Donuts, McDonald's, it's a stop and go traffic, as Mr. Zaneski said. I would strongly recommend this zoning change. I travel that street every day. My children do, my mother does, my nephews, nieces, brothers and sisters, as well as my neighbors and people from out of town. I would like the chief to come up here if he could and give us the numbers of accidents and injuries in that area, if you could, chief.
Once again, Zaneski showed you the chart where previously we had mapped out and charted out the accidents there, and every year the number of accidents continue to go along there. Up to this point, they have not been serious accidents, unless of course you were in one of those accidents and it was a serious one, as far as your point of view goes. But when you look at a 15-month period, and I picked some different numbers along that line, but since April 1st a year ago, up until April of this year, there was a total of 14 crashes in that neighborhood of basically from the railroad tracks up the ramp system for 395. And in that those 14 accidents, there was another 6 people injured. And if we go back over the course of the years and then backwards a couple more years, we have numbers bump up to 26. So every year, there's close to a dozen, close to 10, actually, accidents occur in that area. And the majority of them are for turning movements, either into or out of one of the, or more of the establishments. And of course, the volume of traffic has far exceeded the capacity of the road system. And when you couple the people trying to take into the businesses there, combined with those motorists who are just trying to get from point A to point B, most of the time point A is the intersection of Centertown, point B is 395 someplace else. Just compounds the problem on that way. As has been stated, whatever is done there, changing zoning, isn't going to make the accidents go away, but it certainly may help to reduce the numbers in the future. Ideally, what we would like to do is probably what we can't do, simply because it would be so detrimental to all of the businesses in the area. But certainly the number of accidents speak for themselves without further explanation. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? As the one spoken before, Dan? I'll get back to Jim, but I'll get new speakers an opportunity first.
I think it's all been said anyway, but I've got to say it again. I've probably been there as long as anybody's been here. I'm Dan Robbins, and we're right there on 7th Ave. We can't change what the public does driving up and down the road by making it central business. We can't change what's already there in general business. And I ask you tonight to vote to leave general business right where it is. And we'll continue to try to work with everybody to get a better solution for the area. This particular article won't accomplish a thing. We can't change what's there. We can't change how the people drive. All we can do is work with them and make it easier when we can see the opportunity. The police department is trying as hard as they can. They're out there all the time. People still don't slow down. As soon as the cruiser goes away, they go just as fast. And we're all guilty of the same thing. Sometimes we're in a hurry. Sometimes there's a good reason. Unfortunately, everything is worked out like it's worked out. We've just got an awful lot of people trying to use that one area, and it's convenient. It's convenient to those trying to use the businesses along there. So give it a chance, leave it alone, hope to defeat this one article. Thank you.
Mr. Lamont? Chair Lamont.
Hank Lamont. Folks, I've watched Sutton Avenue real hard for the 3 years that I've sat on the Board of Selectmen. You heard the chief say that the accidents 14, 12, 26. I've watched the number increase over the years, and I've watched the intensity of these accidents increase. 6 PIs in the last 12 months, chief. As you said, they're not serious accidents. If you're getting carried away in one of Jeff's ambulances, it is pretty serious. It's only a short matter of time before one of those broken bones that have been suffered on that street becomes a broken neck and the person goes out in a bag. Will the zoning change do anything to take care of the problem as it exists right now? No. Everybody has the right idea. Something needs to be done with Sutton Avenue. Something needs to be done by the Board of Selectmen, the planner, the chief of police, our planning board, and us as a community to make that road safer. But we have to take a first step somewhere. We could go through and draw all the plans and make everything beautiful and take care of the problems as they are, and then we'd have a Dunkin' Donuts and another Dunkin' Donuts and a Burger King built, and just throw the traffic patterns back into a loop. We have to do something to knock off the grab and go. I've heard widen the road by Mr. Rowe. Mr. Rowe, how do we widen the road? The property is all being utilized.
I said narrow the road.
Narrow road, thank you, okay. And I agree, that's something that we've looked at today, talked about 1 lane traffic going east, 2 going west, but it's all things that need to be worked out and resolved. But in order to take a first step, a positive first step would be to make sure that the problem doesn't keep compounding. If we keep that and grab and goes in there, it's going to compound. I've had some of the business owners call me up down there and say that their property values are going to be affected. It's going to make their property worth less. And they don't want to see the town meeting vote about the zone change that will take money out of their pockets. All I can ask you folks is, what is the value of the life of someone's mother, father, brother, sister, or child? And then the other thing is if we make this zone change and it does absolutely nothing, we can always change it back. Thanks.
Okay, Mr. Esposito, did you have your hand up? No?
Sorry.
Okay. Who hasn't spoken? Dr. Hamel?
I stand here and I agree with Danny Robbins. I've traveled that road. I've lived on Levitt Road for about 35, 36 years now, and I've seen plenty of changes. We can't go back to what it was when Danny had his house right on the road, and Butler was right there. We didn't have the clothing. We can't go back to that. This change is not going to do anything. The only thing that you can do is when you do drive the road, you have to be extremely careful, and you can't take your attention away from anyone coming in and out on that road. I haven't gotten in an accident there yet, and I hope I don't. But when they come off 395 coming west, I mean, these people are going 45, 50 miles an hour. The police have been there. I've seen the cruisers there, because I travel that road at least 6 times a day. And I've seen the cruisers there many times at different locations. But you can't have a cruiser there all the time. And it's the people that will cause the accidents. It's not the zoning. Thank you.
Move the question.
Just let the chair stand up. Move the question.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. You know, we can't have our cake and eat it too. We encourage the growth of business in the town of Oxford, in particular that area. And we've seen a lot of changes in that area. And with growth comes problems, growing pains. Right now, we're experiencing those growing pains. Businesses have moved in there, it's starting to develop, starting to grow, and it's causing problems with traffic. I do not believe that changing the zoning will solve the problem, the traffic problem, the safety problem in that area. I think once you start using zoning to regulate these kinds of things, you're opening the door for it to happen elsewhere in the community. I would love to see the traffic slow down in my neighborhood. Maybe I ought to propose an article to ban any further building of homes or neighborhoods in my area. Restrict it. You can't do that. Zoning is not a tool to regulate a traffic problem. We have a traffic problem, I admit it. We have accidents, I admit that. But we're in the process of growing that section of the community. And we're kind of like in between right now. Okay, you have a Dunkin' Donuts there. Now, if this zoning passes, you're not going to be able to get a similar type business in there. So it limits the competition. The competition is good for business. And the neighbors who live there, people who own the land along there, have every right to be upset because if you're putting additional restrictions on their property, you're decreasing the value in which they can get for that property. The intent was to make that a business area. I think we ought to keep it the way it is, and I think we ought to look at re-engineering the situation to solve the problem. It's an engineering problem, not a zoning problem. That's why we have engineers. Do studies, let's correct it. And you know what? We may not even need engineering problems. Somewhere down the road, this problem may rectify itself. Right now, there's a vast space between the existing businesses that are there. So the traffic doesn't have the opportunity to slow down. But if you build that area, and there are more Dunkin' Donuts and coffee shops and another convenience store, another gas station, or what have you, and you put more business in that area, that will have the tendency to slow the traffic down because of the increased activity going in and out onto Sutton Avenue. So it may rectify itself somewhere down the road. All you have to do is look at certain areas, built-up areas similar to Sutton Ave that are more densely populated with businesses in other communities, like the area in Auburn where the mall is. Traffic doesn't go down that street 60 miles an hour, because it can't, because there's too many business places. It has to stop. It has to slow down. Engineering is the way to go, not using zoning to correct the problem. I urge you to vote against this article.
Okay, I didn't know which way Mr. Sanders was going to speak, but I always try to give the selectmen, when I see them, sometimes I don't, but an opportunity to speak because they are your leaders. But somebody over there made a motion to move the question. Who was that? Did you move it previously? Are you the one? Okay. I will think that in on hold. We can go to move the question. This gentleman called it before. As long as I don't recognize the selectman. I did. He had talked to me before. This gentleman called to move the question. I let him speak. I didn't know which way he was speaking. Now I'm going to honor his moving the question. Is there a second to moving the question? Second. Moved and second. All those in favor of cutting off the debate and moving to the vote, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. No. Okay, the ayes have it. All those in favor of the article, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no.
No.
This requires a 2/3 vote to pass. All those in favor, please stand. Thank you. All those opposed, please stand. Thank you. There being 26 in the affirmative and 149 in the negative, the article fails. I would entertain a motion to adjourn. I would just indicate that we had at one point 295 voters. We're only required to have 160 and 12 non-voters, so everybody did their jobs well, turned out tonight. Level of debate is good. Thank you very much for attending. Motion, entertain a motion. See what you second. All in favor, say aye. All listening, no.
my revised, I had no problem with that. I wanted to call it, technically, but it was just a and that's all they have to sign is the certificate. Each certified town, each certified yeah, the vote is 23 No, that was the explanation. No, the tip is, if you look in the condition, that's the...
How you doing? Good. How you doing? Thanks. Me too. No problem? Yeah, I told you that we were starting to have some things that you get the heck up. Which one was were you back?
I'll drive it, I'll be